Well, guys, the term Day of Infamy is going to lose its meaning because it's becoming everything. I wanted to have published this reaction, this second video of what we saw last night at the Bernabeu. That passed to the final of the Copa del Rey by Real Madrid, an absolutely crazy match. I wanted to have done it earlier, but it ended very late. It was going to be too late, and well, we'll see tomorrow. With all this about Imanol, we'll tell it now. And of course, I've got today's Barça issue, which is something we already knew, but the league has confirmed that out of those 100 million, nothing at all. And therefore, it's I'm not saying anything new that we didn't know before, but now it's even more certified. Very certified.
It is an adulterated.
It is adulterated. It is an adulterated Supercopa. It is a Spanish football, absolutely adulterated by the Football Club Barcelona, which has done it again because it is the second time it does so.
And she already won
illegitimate exit registering Lewandowski, Koundé, and company when it couldn't. With fictional money, which it later admitted had never arrived. It's the second time it has done it. And Olmo is playing matches in all these competitions. And here, in a serious country, this would be stopped immediately. From today, Barça would be removed from the competition. Listen, this footballer and the other one, Pau Victor, who cannot be registered, have played 15 minutes. There are teams affected here. I don't know if I've greeted. Welcome, Madrid fans. How are you? Hey, what a day, right? Really, what a day. So, and now we listen to Himaro. I'm sorry for making you go through this, but it's just that, well, we have to tell everything, right? And I'm going to skip the football issue and what's happening with Hendrik and the great match that Vini had. They're still criticizing Vini for the things he did. Well, great match. I already left. As on many other occasions, when Vini has played a game with many successes and some mistakes, that's Vinicius at Real Madrid. The value of Vinicius at Real Madrid. But that will be in later videos because I insist there's a lot to unpack. But first, the following. Barça has corrupted not just one competition, but all the competitions in which Olmo is involved, in which Pau Victor is involved, in which they have played minutes, scored goals, coming from where we come, winning a league that was also corrupted and illegitimate 2 years ago with registrations of players that they couldn't have done. And we are in that situation, and this would be an incredible earthquake. It would separate the competition. The clubs would take a stand if Real Madrid had done it. But all this is being led by Barça, which also comes from paying for more than 20 years to a refereeing chief millions of euros, 4 presidents, consecutive presidents, and one of them quadrupled his salary. They stopped paying him when he was no longer the chief. This all needs to be said in one breath. So, well, it has to be repeated. Sorry if I sound like a broken record, but it's incredible everything we are experiencing. It's incredible. Well, we start with Imanol, okay? Now let's go to Barça and the latest updates. Well, because there's also the thing with Barça, the renewals, not for just a few footballers and not less important ones, you know? Araujo, Pedri, Gavi, it's incredible. Cubarsí, this is tremendous. Well, and Imanol, man, Imanol, I have tried to calm myself, but this man causes me an incredible repulsion and animosity. He could even, as a kid, come across as a nice guy because he looks kind of good-natured and all, but the hatred this guy has for Real Madrid. And if we compare it with the exact opposite regarding Barça, a team that has robbed him innumerable times, what this man said yesterday in the press conference, which even surprised the journalists more, well, anyway, the photo and company who are zero suspicious of being in the fight for decency, right? And people were left like saying, even the most anti-Madrid people saying, but, well, what is this man saying? What is this man saying? He said this in the press conference. That this board, I said I wanted to control myself about Imanol, who is an absolutely despicable being. Miguel, control yourself. No, I can't, man. Well, anyway.
They eliminated us from the Cup, just like they eliminated us in the Europa League. Surely, with some help there, in an area where what we are asking for is that everything be neutral, right? I believe that Real Madrid does not need these kinds of assistance because it is a great team and it has always proven it throughout its history. So, well, also hurt by that, but yes, happy and proud because we have been left out of the Copa del Rey and the Europa League against two strong teams. And I think that both in Europe, like today here, we have fought to reach the final and to reach the quarterfinals in Europe.
That's how narratives are built, and that's why they must be fought. And even though before Sefra Piero a while ago, we used to say, well, he's a guy who's a lunatic, who's unhinged, who's saying something that you see and verify is not the case, purpose. But of course, we no longer live in that society. When someone says something that makes you laugh at them and you say, well, this guy is seeing something else, the world upside down, it's a different story than what this man is seeing. Like, no. Yeah, this is done because then there are many amplifiers, many loudspeakers, social media, whatever, lots of noise. And if this is not fought, which is obvious, sometimes we could say, bah, come on, let's ignore this guy. No, we have to fight it because this really sinks in with people, right? And maybe this game will later be remembered for that corner. It's just, watch out. This guy is complaining about a corner from a football player who was in an offside position that causes a corner, and from that corner comes a goal for Real Madrid. And on top of that, he compares it with a match where indeed Real was robbed against Manchester United, where there were 3, 4, 5 actions in which they disadvantaged him. And of course, you say anyone who hasn't seen the game would say, well, maybe this man, maybe he's right. Of course, you realize that Madrid was cheated out of this penalty by Remiro for hitting Bellingham in the face. This criminal tackle with the ball already gone. From yesterday, I said Ana Sagasti, right? His name is Ola Sagasti, this kid who just came in. To Vinicius at knee level without a chance to play the ball. This is a textbook red. Not even this action outside the area that Alberola Rojas, now we talk about him, is seeing perfectly. Is also a tackle at knee height of, I think it was Aritz Elustondo, right? To Vinicius, which Verola Rojas also didn't call. And this one, which for me is the least, but I also think that Elustondo, when Mbappe was going to head the ball, came in from behind and put his elbow on his neck, which for me is the least, but, well, we could have gone to the VAR. And now we will talk about the guy who was in the VAR, because here everything fits. Everything absolutely fits. And then there's another thing. I think it's the 3-4 of Real Sociedad. It comes from a foul that occurs as a result of a pass given to Kubo, who is offside. This gentleman doesn't say anything about it either. I mean, they are, let's see. And now we talk about the disciplinary aspect, about the cards and fouls of Real. Of course, they are, in conclusion, we have seen 4 actions more or less, plus 1, 5 actions that Real Madrid can claim, that they claim, where at least 3, 4 of them are absolutely objectively that have disadvantaged Real Madrid due to one that this gentleman asks for, which we now remember. Now we see that it is here. Here you can see everything, that it is that offside they claim of Mbappe that leads to a corner. How about that? And then, of course, he says, well, but what madness is this with the fouls and the cards? I have it around here. Real Sociedad committed 23 fouls in yesterday's match. Now we see the total for the knockout stage. They got 3 yellow cards. 4, sorry. Well, 1 to Javi Lopez, who was on the bench. He didn't play. Let's count 3 for players who were in the game, okay? And one of those 3 should have been a red for John Alag, for Lasagasti or whatever his name is. Okay, for Madrid 1. Madrid committed 6 fouls. Real Sociedad made 23. Only 3 yellow cards to Real. Total. In the entire series, total. Real Sociedad has committed 40 fouls, Real Madrid 15. Real Sociedad has received 4 yellow cards, Real Madrid 3. 14, 15, 4, 3. And this shameless, miserable, absolutely despicable guy, this Imanol, goes and tells us this. It's unbelievable. Well, of course, why did Alberola Rojas ignore all this? We saw it in that action where Vinicius was fouled, and he says there's nothing, doesn't give the red card, doesn't penalize. Real Sociedad more with yellow cards because they were hunting. Because Alberola Rojas, he's the guy who paid thousands of euros to Negreira's son for coaching. And in that way, he was able to rise in his category as a referee and now be directing these very important matches. This must be absolutely clear, as we sometimes forget. Every time they assign Alberola to referee a Real Madrid game, it's madness. It's madness of out of 4-5 penalties, 6-7 actions besides the disciplinary ones in which he harms Real Madrid. Trujillo Suarez, who is Trujillo Suarez? Indeed, the one from the Osasuna Real Madrid bar, that's Trujillo Suarez, man, who that day called Munuera Montero to tell him that what happened with Camavinga, that stomp on Budimir was a... When Budimir had already shot, it was a penalty. And it's the same one as yesterday, mind you, the same referee who is a guy only in charge of the VAR, Trujillo Suarez. And now we see his resume. I don't see it the same way in the action involving Remiro on Bellingham. A ball already kicked, ball already going out, and a foul made by a defender. In this case, the goalkeeper on a Real Madrid player compared to that of a Real Madrid player on an Osasuna attacker, the same, huh? Ball already kicked. Well, then don't tell me that that there isn't what there clearly is here. But, well, the idea that Real was harmed is catching on. Because they are also asking for that penalty on Kubo, which is not a penalty by Vinicius, where he didn't grab him enough to bring him down. And that, well, even the most anti-Madrid journalists acknowledge it. It would be very embarrassing to ask for a penalty there, but they are also asking for it. They are putting everything in the back, right? Trujillo Suarez here on footballgate.com tells us about it. Referee of VAR of the Osasuna Real Madrid, officiated in the last 6 seasons in the second division, was a guy who never moved up to the first. In his first year as a referee, video assistant referee in the first division after retiring as a field referee at 41 years old, after 13 seasons in the second division and only 2 in the first division. Well, he was in the first division in 16-17 and 17-18. A guy with a rather complicated resume. And of course, with these decisions, he is winning. That he is being counted on more for matches, for important matches. Well, let's see that action. Let's watch that action that I have here, correct? This thing that you have seen a little bit out of the corner of your eye is about Imanol with Xavi. Now we see the different treatment he has with Barça and with Madrid, which is, well, it's obscene. This is the action that Real Sociedad is asking for, right? It's a pass to Vinicius, pass... Of course, to Vinicius, who starts running here. There's no offside for Vinicius, of course not. He is not offside. Mbappe is in an offside position, and it's true that there's a moment here where Mbappe, notice what the real defender does, thinking the ball might go to Mbappe. Mbappe makes a gesture as if he's going for the ball, but then lets it pass, right? And it's true that the real player's attention is somewhat caught by the Frenchman, and he loses a little speed in the run. We tell everything here. Listen, this could have easily been flagged as offside by the linesman, but the question is the following, because Vinicius finishes this action with Remiro, who deflects, and in the end the ball ends up going to the corner, right? And it's the corner that later leads to the goal of of Tchouaméni, right? Okay, to Tchouaméni's goal. Well, of course, it is not a VAR decision. It's that here, when this ends, when then Madrid scores the goal, it is impossible to go to VAR and say, hey, what happened? Because by VAR protocol, it is impossible to go to VAR. Therefore, while you can consider that indeed the assistant referee could have raised the flag for the offside, then everything must be taken into account. It's not a video assistant referee play. It's not a play where the video assistant referee can enter, because by definition, it's not in the protocol. The video assistant referee cannot enter in this, just as it couldn't enter in that offside situation with Kubo. When he receives the ball, he fouls Camavinga and Real scores a goal. The VAR cannot intervene, but Madrid also has the right to complain. However, Real only complains about this, and while Kubo's situation is shameful, it's impossible to complain about that, about Vinicius' possible penalty. Madrid complains about everything we've seen, and also about a very similar action, which is an offside that later results in a goal for them. Well, let's see. Look, this is incredible. There's a match, several, right? Remember the penalty that Oyarzabal had against Koundé, that Imanol didn't make a fuss about it? He didn't say anything. Remember, not long ago, Elustondo's red card for a foul on Dani Olmo, he wasn't the last defender. He was in line with another Real Sociedad defender. They asked Imanol, and Imanol said yes, that his player was rightly sent off. And you say, well, that was the vibe he had with Xavi. After a match in which they were robbed, because Xavi himself acknowledged that the VAR, he said, the penalty in favor of Barcelona, which left Xavi surprised. The VAR has this thing, he said. I think it was Xavi, right? Attention to Imanol, who should have complained that day what he later said in the flash interview with Xavi, right? With Xavi.
Look,
Well, first of all, congratulations to Xavi and Barcelona for the victory. And we knew it was going to be complicated. We have, we made things difficult for them. We had our chances, but, well, it's football. They deservedly succeeded. They won the match, and that's it, nothing more. Congratulate them, and now we have to think about the
I
next
love that
one.
you get along so well, because I don't know if you've been able to discuss the handball penalty by Odriozola, because in theory he called the first one, which was, but you guys, Xavi, were protesting the second one, which wasn't. Have you had time to discuss it? I don't know how you saw it. Was there some
honestly
confusion?
Was surprised that they later awarded a penalty,
Yes.
because I was complaining about Fermin's the second one.
Weren't you complaining about
and,
the...
in the end, of course, VR has
Imanol smile.
these things that you
Of course.
see and you notice there are penalties before.
My hand?
Well, I honestly didn't expect
No, I
them
don't see
to
it.
call the penalty.
Did
at
you
that
see the ball
moment.
during the match?
It's amazing. I mean, it turns out Xavi himself is surprised because he got a penalty in his favor, despite him asking for something else. And there's more.
No, that's hilarious. No, let's...
One of those?
I mean, it's just that, dude, I have to say, as someone on the field, I'm always near the coaches. It surprises me a lot, because normally the coaches don't talk during the match, but I've seen you guys talking and laughing. And Manuel, how can this
Well,
be?
because one thing has nothing to do with the other, right? It is clear that that today I really wanted to win here because of what we were playing for, because of what it means to beat Xavi's team. But well, obviously, within the tension, and I think that well, I am a coach who tries to stay calm as much as possible. And well, there was a moment there to chat with Xavi, and
From
well,
laughter on the field, dude, like there in the technical area with the coaches, he's a great, that miserable Imanol, his father, right? He is a great candidate to coach, of course, the corrupt and criminal club that paid an arbitration chief for more than 20 years and is registering players illegally and is adulterating the competition. He is a great candidate, just like Setien was back in the day. He made it. Hey, they took him out from being among the cows. Setien's words, they'll take this one out from being among the pigs, and or there in a cider tavern, just like that, bootying with some ex-convict of ETA or something. And well, there he will arrive, because he is a great candidate to do it. Well, congratulations, Imanol. What a scoundrel you are. It is truly incredible. So, of course, by the way, one thing from Movistar, a wonderful thing, right? In the possible penalty, well, possible jogging by Vinicius' bucket, Movistar's account. Cuba asked for a penalty in this action with Vinicius. In the big penalty to Bellingham, the action between Ramiro and Bellingham, that's how they post the tweets. The football ones on Movistar Plus, right? Of course, corruption has many facets, technological, journalistic. The coaches indeed legitimizing the thefts against them, because heaven forbid you say something and then, or it harms you, as the newly mentioned Seti and Lerner in his day, etc. Well, everything converges in the same club. Everything converges in the same club. Club that, just now this happened in the morning. Breaking news, LaLiga explains that the new auditor, in an official LaLiga statement, that the new auditor for Barcelona did not account for 100 million euros from the sale of VIP seats, which sounded very suspicious in the early days of January, late December. From December, remember everything that happened there, which is that, the money hasn't arrived. But yes, they told us it has, because we're at Christmas, year end, the money can't arrive. La Liga said, I don't buy it anymore, whatever you're going to tell me. Dani Olmo can't be registered. Then the CSD, the government of Pedro Sanchez, comes to save them for a political issue, and that's the big scandal we had. And let's see what they do now. after this, moreover? Well, in that context, El Confidencial reports yesterday.
From this very
and today, La
thing-
Liga confirms it. Barça once again exceeds the fair play limit and does not have the capacity to register Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. Pay attention to this point 6. From La Liga, according to the referred internal financial
The
statements
middle.
and in the application of the DNP, I don't know what that is, forgive me, the Football Club Barcelona, with the subscription of said corporate operation, did not have on December 31st, 2024, nor on January 3rd, 2025. Since that date, it has not had and it does not have today balance or registration capacity. What is publicly known as fair play for registering the players Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. Okay, Dani Olmo and Pau Victor has played much less. And Dani Olmo, well, between the injuries, but he has played. The first match that Dani Olmo plays is the semi-finals of the Spanish Super Cup. I don't know if he plays minutes, I think so, but then in the final he does play minutes against Real Madrid. He played Super Cup, he played the Cup, and above all, he scored goals in the league. He played in the league and scored goals in the league. Very important goals, huh? Against Rayo Vallecano, etc. such. Isn't that blatantly corrupting the competition for this right now? Stop and kick Barça out of here. It is not. Do you realize the huge scandal we are in? Forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but every word that comes out of my mouth, I just can't believe it. Well, it's going to cause a stir, isn't it? It should cause a stir, of course. It's going to cause much less of a stir than if Real Madrid had done this, right? I asked ChatGPT. Since January 25th, which footballers has Barça renewed? Ronald Araujo on January 23rd, 2025, renewed until June 2031. Of course, they said Araujo might leave and so on, I don't know what. They said we have money from some who have put in 100 million, which now the auditor says no. And then they said, come on, to Araujo, to Pedri, that thing we've always said about the sales. The traumatic ones for Barça that never do such. They've messed with us, of course. They invent money, hey, print bills, so to speak. And come on, to Pedri until June of 2030. Let's see, on January 29th, 2025. To Gavi on January 31st, 2025. Until June of 2030. By the way, in parentheses, Gavi is playing with a provisional injunction. You know, that was granted judicially some time ago because through the sports administrative channels he couldn't, which adds to everything else. Pau Kubasi on February 13th, 2025, renewed until 2029, and Íñigo Martínez on March 13th, 4 days ago of 2025, renewed until June of 2026. What do you think, huh? What do you think? And while the league, the cup, and, well, the Super Cup has already been played, and so on, are still ongoing. Isn't it wonderful, dude? And today there's talk that the real is being... Madrid was awarded a goal after a player was in an offside position. The ball goes to a corner, then the corner is taken and it goes in a play. Madrid is claiming 4 or 5 and 1, moreover, similar to what Real Sociedad is claiming, and the other 4, let's say, unquestionably. On the day when it is also known that Barça, which we already knew, but today it is confirmed, has just tainted not 1 but 3 competitions. Bravo, huh? Bravo to the corruption in Spanish football. Hope everything goes well for you. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, please. Comment, share, like it, please. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.